Welcome to another episode of Talking Metaverse. I'm here now with Kanesh Govindasamy.
Yes, sir.
How are you, Kanesh?
I'm ready. Doing good.
When you meet someone new and they ask, hey, what do you do? How do you respond?
I'm a founder of Global 5G Evolution. It's a consulting firm that give advisory towards to various industries, including the mobile operators, the telecom vendors, the vertical industries, startups, universities, so on and so forth. So any industries who are really keen into exploring in the deployment of 5G, I would be the right person to contact with to give those advisory on an end-to-end solutions.
Okay, I noticed you didn't use the word metaverse there.
Yes, because metaverse is something really new. Of course, there's a lot of exploration are needed, but it may not be there immediately due to the repercussions of it. But then sooner or later it will be there. And yeah, I do advise on metaverse as well.
Can you give me a one sentence definition of the metaverse? What is the metaverse?
Basically, metaverse is a totally immersive virtual experience, which is far greater than the VR, AR experience with the 3D virtual representations of avatars that can able to connect the full industry, where in a short term that it's the web 4.0, where you can able to experience the internet connectivity via the virtual avatars.
Okay. And your daily work involves, I guess, thinking about how 5G connects to the metaverse. How does 5G affect? So can you explain to me, why does the metaverse depend on 5G, or does it depend on 5G?
Definitely, metaverse dependable on 5G because for various reasons. Because as you know, metaverse have this kind of various components in terms of infrastructure requirement, the devices requirement, content, experiences, software, and also the peripheral infrastructure. And the capacity of the requirement is so high, it can go up to gigabits per second. So therefore, you need some sort of a strong connectivity to download and experience the rich content of the metaverse. And in terms of the speed to interact on a real time, therefore 5G needs to support where the latency cannot be compromised for the metaverse, because users can be in a different part of the world and they want to experience whether they are sitting stagnant in the office or they are in mobile traveling via the car, train, or even planes, right? So how they can able to experience such rich content, uh, therefore you need 5G to support the requirement in the metaverse.
Hmm. And how difficult is that today? What are the challenges?
Basically, some of the challenges that metaverse faces is how quick the mobile operators are ready to support in terms of deploying the infrastructure. Number one, not all the mobile operators are ready. So therefore, that means not all the countries are ready to support. So meaning to say, if there is a roaming requirement needed where different users are in different countries, they may not able to experience it because of their current infrastructure. So if as much as many mobile operators in different countries are ready, and therefore the users can able to experience the content of Metaverse.
And when you say ready, the mobile network operators, what is holding them back from being ready? What are they waiting for?
It can be various reasons. It can be political reasons. It can be economic reasons. It can be geographical reasons, and also it can be the demand of the market in the respective countries, because 5G is different than the 4G or 3G, because 4G 3G is very much towards to a consumer driven, but 5G is very much to industrial driven. And I don't deny that there are consumers driven, but mainly it's industrial driven because of the what they call advantage of the 5G infrastructure that can support various industrial needs. So if there is a demand, for sure, obviously the mobile operators definitely has to deploy as quick as possible.
Okay, yeah, this is really interesting stuff, really useful stuff. Now, you have a couple of slides. I would like to ask you about the use cases. Can you talk me through this use cases slide?
All right. These use cases, it gives some sort of perspective in terms of the various industries that really needs to experience. For example, like health and life science. If we see the left hand side, health, life science, energy, and also education, or maybe more. The most favorite is the training simulations, because training simulations gets more popular nowadays. Virtual classes, because a lot of them don't need to travel to the headquarters of the organizations to get the specialized trainings, and therefore Metaverse can help to improvise in terms of the content, more user friendly, where the students may not get tired or bored with the stagnant kind of presentation slides. So this kind of Metaverse will give them some sort of a different experience in a 3D dimension, etc. The other area is in terms of the retail and consumer driven, because retail is consumer driven is getting more popular, because we have these mirror or 3D mirrors shopping via online. The consumer can pick either their dress or their shoes, whichever they need, the color, the size, and they can they need to download the right application to scan the body figures in order to see and what clothing can be the perfect fit. So Metaverse helps in those kind of virtual interaction and with the virtual assistant engagement, and that gives more confidence to the consumers to purchase online. As we know, online shopping, though it's getting popular, but many of them prefer to go physically to the stores, because they worried that it might not be the right fit. But sooner or later, with this Metaverse, it gives a confidence towards to the users to purchase immediately from their retail stores.
Yes.
The other area is the advanced manufacturing and mobility. There's a lot of simulations that is needed, and Metaverse can able to help to give such of simulations to do a real trial test of any new equipments in the manufacturing sector, particularly like robotics or high dose equipments. It can lead to the safety, what they call, there is a resistance in terms of the safety and health. So by using a simulations, we can avoid all the accidents. It can give some sort of experience on a real time. It's very much close as what they are doing on a real test cases, and that gives a confidence towards the users. So a lot of test trials can be done on a simulation using the metaverse. So real estate also is another area where the users doesn't need to go and find out their properties. They can able to look around the apartment units or bungalow units or even the shop lots with the 3D metaverse applications. So I can tell you, there's a lot of demand in terms of these various use cases, as you can see here.
Okay, that's an interesting word you used. There's a lot of demand. So is there really a lot of demand from the buyer's side?
It really depends on how quick the supplier are ready to show it, right? Because the more they can able to demonstrate, I'm very sure the users will start to pick up and try to understand, learn more, and experience it. And it's always is how much you can able to show towards the buyer, and it takes at least couple months or even years so that the buyer can able to get convinced.
Yeah.
Like an example, in South Korea, um, South Korea, as you know, their per month GB data consumption is about 40 to 45 GBs per month, right?
South
Like in,
Korea, 45 gig per month
yes,
per person.
per person, right? I'm not sure. What about in Finland? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I actually don't know. I should look that up.
Right. In Malaysia, it's about 6 GB.
Wow.
Yes, and but no any other countries can come close to South Korea, including China. The reason why, because what they call, they actually knew what is the taste of their consumers, particularly the youngsters. As you know, Pokemon was the favorite gaming at one point of time, which is almost about 10 years ago. And during the 4G itself, they knew that the consumers was very much into gaming driven and entertainment driven. So they started to focus, develop lots of those content where more users were really accepting those applications. And that's the reason South Korea was also the pioneer into the metaverse world as well. So you have a lot of companies who have started to develop a lot of metaverse applications.
Okay. So do you think this is a lot like, from the consumers, from the users' point of view, we don't know that we want it until we get it, like, because nobody knew that we wanted iPhones until it came.
Absolutely.
So how much can we learn from what the users desire, or is it a matter of offering it to them first?
It's always a chicken and egg thing, right? Because a lot of trials needs to be done to try to see where the user's taste, right? Because and it goes country to country. Some countries gaming may not be popular. Some countries online shopping may not be popular, right? Some countries entertainment, movies and all that, live concerts may not be popular. So they got to taste, trial in each country to see which country accepts, which country does not accept. You'll be surprised. The top country that is really today, that the top country that is in favor in gaming is Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia also is catching up into the monthly GP, and they are getting much more faster. They are trying to reach the closely South Korea as well. So these are the various aspects that we got to see on a different country user case.
Okay, yeah, so this is for the consumer. So what about the previous slide we just looked at, which is the businesses, the business use cases? You think it's going to happen sooner for the businesses to adopt metaverse technologies?
It may take some time for the businesses due to various reasons. One of that reason is that in terms of the readiness of the devices, a lot of trials that has been done are based on limited components of or devices. The thing, like for example, let me give you a snapshot about what's happening in Europe. Is that that there's one particular spectrum which on 5G, which is 28 gigahertz. 28 gigahertz, which is a millimeter wave spectrum, which is specifically for indoor applications, and those indoor applications for industrial purposes within a short range, but huge download of data, which can go up to 10 gigabits per second. And what kind of application requires, like robotics, which needs high reliability, 99.99999, 5 nines, no less than 1 milliseconds of latency, high speed download, and they can't compromise to any failure on a real time robotics movement. Tested, everything went very well. So now the thing is that whether it's commercial ready in terms of the components and the devices, still not yet. So this may take some time, because we got to see the price levels of these components. Also in terms of the availability or demand in the respective countries. And most of the industrials, they are still on a wired. That means their machineries are still on wired basis. In the future, a lot of industrials are forced to build their machineries on wireless. That means you can able to plug in the SIM cards or the circuit boards, which is with the 5G embedded circuitries, and they can able to immediately run their machines, right? So that means it needs to be a green site. That means comparatively to the brown, that means it has to be a brand new factory that have an end-to-end wireless in order to support those high demand of 5G applications. So at the moment, the spectrum range between 3.5 to 3.7 gig, able to support those 5G applications. But obviously there's a limitation for such of applications. Definitely it's not Metaverse for sure, because Metaverse needs, it can be Metaverse, but depends on the low content of the Metaverse applications, because some of the Metaverse application may need very high capacity, speed, downloads and all that, which requires the 28 gigahertz spectrum to support that.
Okay. Can I ask you to talk about one more slide? Opportunities for telcos in the metaverse.
All right. The mobile network operators, they can't be going on into the traditional way of doing business, right? Today is very much stagnant with the current platform upgrading from a 3G to 4G and 4G to 5G. A lot of mobile operators are still not ready for a standalone 5G. They want to go on a non-standalone 5G. What is non-standalone 5G? That means they can use existing 4G main infrastructure like the core network, and they just need to upgrade the radio network equipment, right? This will cut their costs, but they can't able to experience a fully 5G, right? So because most of the operators, they still are not ready to spend huge investment in the 5G, because it's totally different compared to 4G in terms of the price levels. Some countries like South Korea, you will not believe it, South Korea Telecom or Korea Telecom mobile operators, they have closed their eyes and invested huge amount of infrastructure at least about 8 years ago, where I think now they can able to see the break evens, but they're willing to invest to wait for at least 8 years to see their break evens. How many mobile operators are willing to do that?
Exactly. It's just
Right? So
so you can understand their point of view, which is it's balancing the short-term gains with just having patience for the long term, and you can understand
absolutely,
why they don't want to wait for the long-term
absolutely,
gains.
that's right. But most of the mobile operators fail to understand about long-term planning, so that they can able to see the total cost of ownership improvements, because the TCO is important. It's not about like, I want a quick bucks, I just do a quick upgrade here and there. And I realized that in 1 year, I got to do another upgrade. And then every year that I got to upgrade, if you see in the long term, it's much more costly to build such a network. Why not spend everything at the day one with a full new infrastructure that can able to support in the long-term plan, right? So these are the areas that mobile operators should start to consider. They got to also try to understand, what is needed to support the metaverse platforms. The user experience are important. For example, like the customer experience, right? Like the call centers, because today we see the call centers are very much calling the hotline, and they answer the hotline, and then they have some sort of emails to see, sir, whether what is the rating, how have we responded, right? It's a very traditional way, but there are already have blueprints how mobile operator can bring this into a metaverse world for the call centers, so that their customers can able to experience their product ranges, the application ranges, the offerings in the metaverse world, and they can interact real time with the call center agents in the mobile operators. So this is how the future going to look like, very user friendly, interactive, and that gives the confidence to the user. One area that I would like to stress here is like this, right? If we look at the businesses for the telcos, traditionally it was B2B and B2C, right? But in future, it's going to be B2B2B or B2B2C, right?
So a
And
third level.
yes, third level. That means the mobile operators are ready to take care the customer of their customers. So meaning to say that their infrastructure needs to be prepared in terms of how they want to handle the enterprise customers, right? So the traditionally enterprise customer says, hey, mobile operator A, I want this package because I need, these are the requirements for my in-house users and for my customers, right? And the mobile operator needs to build a package which gives X price for a yearly application, right? And this is fixed, right? But in future, in 5G, there is a feature known as 5G network slicing. And this network slicing offers a feature where mobile operators customers, the enterprise customers, can able to choose and select for different of their customers or in-house users that this the speed, capacity, coverage that is required, and they can pick and choose, and they can bundle those packages. And it's have a variation of packages where they can able to save in terms of the consumptions on a monthly purchases. So these are the new features that can bring an advantage to the enterprise customers.
Awesome. Right. Just before we finish, Kanesh, I can see how passionate you are about this subject. So I would love to ask you a little bit about your origins into this world. Why are you so passionate about this? When did you first discover an entry point into this field?
I think due to my background experience of 24 years experience in telecom industry, I was a typical telecom engineer from transmission, radio, and core network, so on and so forth. I have 12 years experience in Ericsson, and I have worked with mobile operators. I have worked with cybersecurity companies. So I have a variety of experience, and that actually gives me the passion in terms of how the telecoms are moving towards, and that's where I started to explore 5G about 3 years ago. In order for me to understand and learn, I started to give talks in various universities, and I got more confident. With the passion, a lot of students asked so many questions that gave me more research, and I love doing research and analysis. And I'm very active on the LinkedIn with almost 9,000 followers. I built YouTube where I offer free content, and I have like about 44 countries of 5G ecosystem experts with 190 of them who we communicate together in terms of networking and and that's my passion, building a global 5G community and try to share a lot of information towards the world who are still lacking behind.
And is there something specific about the metaverse that attracts you, the idea of the metaverse?
Definitely, because I think metaverse is something is the future, and definitely it will take off. If you see the name of Meta, which is transformed from Facebook, it is clear that that's the future. And a lot of upgrades needs to be done from the extended realities, ARs and XRs, and I'm very confident the metaverse will be there at least in the next 10 years. It will still be there.
Great. Kanesh, thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you, Tan. Have a nice day.